Greetings guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette and this is my channel Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath and we're going to jump right into the video. So this was a download that came through a couple days ago that I've been meaning to get out, and I was looking at my handy dandy notes and I wanted to talk to you guys about the only two ways that it can end regarding your DM and you. So the thing to know about this is if you've been on this whole journey with this and you're in the separation stage, which happens for everybody that goes into this, then there can be only two things that happen. Reconciliation would be the first, or there would be an assignment of a new partner. It's the second. It's all that there. These are the choices. There's not many. When something alters our Akashic records and it changes the course of our life, or maybe we do the work we were supposed to do with the initial person that we may have assigned or mistaken or misread, whatever the energy that went into misalignment, it's important to understand that you need to take the lessons from that, but it was still here to cause your growth. And when you're out of the fog of all of the craziness that happens in the beginning and the obsession and all that stuff, and guys, I've been there. For those of you that know my journey, you know my journey. But when you're out of all of the triangulation and the high drama that goes on, usually because there's a karmic that interferes, then, or a karmic is allowed to interfere, they have their own work to do. And that's the thing that I think it's really important to understand, which means, bum, if there is not honest reconciliation, then you get another partner because you still have work to do. So many ladies that I counsel going through this, and men, because I counsel a lot of empathic men that are on this journey, desperately chasing women that are so making it clear that they're not interested, just like we were desperately chasing men or women that were doing the same. And I counsel all of you guys, and I counseled myself through this as well. And so the only choices that you have are to understand that if someone's not going to bring you a forthright communication, a real and true acknowledgement or an apology regarding the situation, then that's a choice. And indecision is a decision, and that is okay. That's something for you to take in, and then it's something for you to release. But the most important part to understand about this is not just that you take it in and release it, but that you may move on to another situation. There is a wonderful person on here who did a funny message recently called "Don't Be a Sky Bay," which means that so many of us have gotten trapped in thinking that because the contract was broken and we can still feel in the metaphysical 5D energy of whomever the counterpart was. Pardon me, guys. So many of us think that we should hold space for that person. Now, I will tell you, in my journey, I was allowed to not be as fully enmeshed on a sexual level with my partner in that regard. This was just truly a friend. However, I still felt the emotions of that telepathic communication that we all know that we have with our counterparts. I felt it, the karmic felt it. That's why three's a crowd, right? That may be something that happens with you, but there are some women that I counsel that I see that get stuck in the loop of that, and they allow themselves to be having 5D tantric sex and 5D conversations, and they're living years, ladies. And I don't want that to be you, of their life, having that connection. I will tell you, in my case, I cut the connection pretty quickly. You know, I gave them maybe a couple weeks. It was up by March before I was like, this happened a year ago for me. We're almost to the exact time frame that it happened. And it happened in February, middle of February. By the first couple weeks in March, I was like, so that's okay. That's enough. You don't get to feed off of me anymore, because that's what's happening. And that's what I want you guys to acknowledge. There's a vampiric connection. I just finished up readings. It's pretty late night. And I was working with a client who was beginning to actually manifest illness in her body because she'd allowed a karmic soulmate to come back in. And even though they weren't fully in cahoots and in a relationship, he was draining her, and it was causing constrictions on a business she was growing and all kinds of things. Guys, this is very real. We are feminine, and that means that we understand these metaphysical practices. We understand spirituality. Masculine energy is medicine, it's science. We are the ephemeral, the ethereal, the akasha, the akashic records. We are about transmuting things. And that doesn't mean, because we love to linger on that side of it, that very feminine aspect of spirituality, it means that a lot of us forfeit our physical, actual 3D life to be something energetically for someone who never validated you in the 3D. I am grateful to be the guinea pig to have gone through this. Not to say I am the first, nor will I be the last, but to say that the way that I was allowed to experience this, it helped me tap into some of my greatest resources within my chart and sign. Something else, Divine Feminine, I would highly recommend you guys do a Cafe Astrology free natal chart. That is a handbook to your life, and it's very spelled out in paragraphs that you can read to get a general understanding of who you are and what's going on. In any reading that we do, I could pinpoint out some of the things that are going on so that you would know what to pay attention to and what's coming up. However, there is information that you can ascertain yourself just by reading, okay? You do not need anybody to help you on this journey. You have God that's guiding you, your angels that are guiding you, your ancestors that are with you, your intuition, which is sharp as a tack. And so many of us get distracted by that in these relationships. And so that's what I'm saying. Yes, I know that may seem contradictory. Well, if I don't get this one, I get another one. Yes, you do. But the reason is because you can't be stuck. Your divine masculine or counterpart is actually in a 3D relationship. For some of you, they're actually sleeping with the people. They're actually never going to leave. They actually meant to be hurtful to you because they were on assignment for some of them to break you open purposely so that you would evolve and ascend. I have a video coming up here about your Topanga moment, and that's what for me this was, but also for many of you. The Topanga moment references the movie Fried Green Tomatoes, where Kathy Bates is the empathetic archetype. She is the archetype of the empath, and she is dowdy and maybe looked over and attractive but not the most attractive, and a little mousy and scared of her own shadow. And then something cataclysmic happens, a little run-in at a grocery store, and she takes her power back. And her spouse wasn't paying enough attention, was bored with her, and wasn't paying her the right kind of love, like maybe a lot of your DMs or DFs didn't. And then something happens and she shifts. So we'll talk about the Topanga moment in another video, but I just thought that that was really important for you guys to understand. Don't stay here waiting for Sky Bay, as Daisy calls her. I got to give her credit and a shout out. Don't stay here waiting for an imaginary person. I have other videos that I've made months ago before Daisy's ever made that video that I'm aware of, where I am talking about releasing your illusory DM. It was an illusion. Neptune, which is the planet that rules illusions, is ruled also by Sagittarius, ironically. It's a whole mind F. And I don't want you to be those people that call and are still there, because I will guide them out. But sometimes people hold on so tightly to the idea this person's coming back. When I say my better parts were engaged, I got super angry and indignant and prideful. And I realized from my own situation that my person felt things about me and didn't feel like I was this or that and wanted to convey it, and it was purposeful. So it made it so easy for me to walk away. Some of you guys didn't have that same journey. Like, I was indignant, and I was like words that I don't even have to describe. It was not warm and fuzzy and let's kumbaya fix it. That worked very well in my benefit, because I was brutal and lethal regarding the way that I handled it energetically. However, I will say for you guys that I counsel and see, sometimes you're too malleable still, too much yum yum, and you guys aren't listening. When my angels told me to cut things in that situation, I cut them. Even when my heart was like, no. And months later, when my heart was a little soft, or maybe it was a little more rigid, I understood why. They told me to do things and I did it. And it stopped me from my worst nature when the real revenge and anger had set in months later. I was able to pivot because I had put in fail safes that I was guided to do in the moment. So that's a little bit of preventative measures for you. Sometimes you'll hear to do things and you'll think, well, no, I want to leave the lines of communication open and maybe they will call. My person was a straight up asshole. And the lack of all of the things that happened in that moment astounded me. I never imagined. For me, it was a 20-year relationship that went belly up. I never would have imagined that the way that how immature and how not on my level. That's the thing about this, guys. If you are in a situation like this, you have probably not realized that the reason that a thing didn't work is because somebody was not on your level. While they were making you feel like other people were better than you, please assess those people. please, please, when you're out of your craziness and the triangulation and the drama, especially if you were dealing with narcissists as I was, you will be gaslit and feel all kinds of PTSD-ish things. But as you get down the road, you can look back with clarity, even if you're still in the let's hold the vibration open for them, which I am not in. But you can still look back with clarity and see that this person was never really on your level, but that you did not have self-esteem. You were Kathy Bates in that movie. You did not love yourself enough. And that meant that you were prey to a predator. That time is over. So cut it with cords, cut it with salt baths. I have videos up here about how to end or divorce somebody energetically. Cut it in every way. If you are actually married to them and you're going through a divorce, go through the divorce. Figure out how to co-parent. Gray rock, study. It is your job now to read the cliff notes of your life, but to release that. Because they're never coming back and they're not supposed to. You learned and extracted everything that you could from them. And ironically, you felt that they left you as a husk. But it is in fact you, Divine Feminine, ascending past yourself and past your own flesh. You did a very powerful thing. You ascended past your own desires and flesh. And it is you that left them as a husk. You extracted the best that they ever had to give you. So many of you guys loop back to, well, what if it could be different if we talked or whatever? I don't also relate to that. And that might be why I've been called to teach this lesson, because maybe some of you guys need to borrow my tough love. There were millions of ways, like many of you, my sweet empaths, that I extended the opportunity for conversation. If you watch Frankie and Grace, I even offered to make a talking stick, to which she demonically refused. Raised up off the couch like something out of Poltergeist and says, I do not want to talk. My sweet loves, how much did you avail yourself to fix, to head off at the past, to change the dynamics of a situation? How much did you lay your heart out on a platter for a person only for them to stomp it and stab it and spit on it and set it on fire and be disrespectful AF to your face? Guys, this person is the person you think is capable of coming back and having an adult conversation with you? I gotta lighten it up, sis. Come on, ladies. That's why you have to release this. I piggyback off of what Daisy said in the best way with all of the homage paid. My fellow Leo sister, she's brilliant, guys. You guys should really check her out if you're going through this journey. She teaches brilliant lessons. However, what I will say here is this. Don't delude yourself. That person is not capable. Also, I'm going to break this here too. If they're not stuck. Guys, this is something that I hear all the time regarding clientele and whatnot. And also just amongst girlfriends, as I've counseled girlfriends through this process as well, throughout the years and whatever. From high school on up, y'all, this is the problem. So many people are like, this other person has got them in their clutches. And they do not. They are exactly where they want to be. I understand the pathology of this is because I've been breaking this generational curse because it's in my family. I'll make some videos about that. I have one coming up here soon regarding my mother. I broke this curse. I dealt with the exact same situation. However, the thing about it is these people don't change. They change you. That is what is said of the narcissist. They don't change. They change you. And my sweet empaths, did it not change you? Did the experience not toughen you up? And didn't it make you maybe a more jaded, sullied, a little worse for wear? And then you had to push yourself out of that. And that's why I get to the next part, the partner that comes in. Release that illusion. They're not stuck with the karmic. The karmic is not got, they're just clutches. And I hear you guys, and I hear myself. I heard myself in the beginning. I did. Last year, March was my whole eye-opening month for me. I will tell you, I felt a lot of those things. But then as time went on, my common sense kicked in. And I was like, wait a minute. I watched this happen. I got a lucky view into this thing that a lot of people don't get to see up hand because people are more sneaky. My person was spiteful and malicious, and purposely wanted me to know. So it was very clear how much she delighted in being how she was. And so what I will tell you is I got to see that how active she was in it. It wasn't a thing done to her. She was no victim. And your DM is no victim either. Your DM partakes, they love it, they use it, they energetically feed off of it. Succubi energy, Jezebel spirit energy, they use it to feed because they're used to feeding off of you. And something shifts in your ascension, ladies, where you start to not be as accessible, and then they start to develop a new supply. And that's what happens with most narcissistic dynamics. So that's why I'm like, stop waiting for this person to come back. They're exactly where they want to be and where they should be. But where are you supposed to be? I have a video that I may put out called Who is Your Becky with the Good Hair? We spent so much time worrying about the karmic and is she Becky with the good hair? Beyonce did too. The Beyonce who wrote a song. She was so triggered by behavior. One of the most attractive and most desired women statistically in the world. And she was worried about Jay-Z. Now, I think Jay-Z is incredibly talented, and I have lessons coming up here from some of his fantastic words. But Jay-Z was flawed as a partner, and he said as much when he got into therapy. And some of your DMs are flawed and are not looking at it. Jay-Z took all those years to get into therapy. Beyonce hung out, but what emotional damage was done to her? When she wrote that, better if I'm Becky with the good hair, my angel said, flip it and reverse it. Yes, sometimes we're there, Divine Feminine, in the pain of dealing with the Becky with the good hair, but we forget who's your Becky with the good hair. Or who's your Jerome with the good hair, or who's your Marcus, or who's your Zane, or who's your Eric, or who's your Erica with the good hair. That's the real thing about the second half of this. When you look back, you will see how grossly incompatible you two were. And when you look forward and God brings in the new energy, you will see why that had to die out. They get to enjoy their happiness for a season. But as all seasons do, it passes. And they walk into their karma. It's opposite for you. You were just living out past life karma. You were making new dharma, which is what we create while we're here. And you're walking into blessings, ascension, evolution. You and your karmic partner, I'd like to call them instead of this divine masculine bullshit that they are not even worthy of. You and your karmic partner were mirroring each other. They were, in fact, a soulmate of yours. You did have work to do. All of the beautiful feelings they felt with their karmic that they were delighted with, you'll feel with a new person. Except it will be wholesome, it'll be sanctified, it'll be blessed, there will be longevity, there will be all the things you've manifested. What is it for you? For me, it's travel. For me, it's the best restaurants in the world, not just the country. For me, it's someone who says yes and means it. Those are some of the things for me. You can manifest that divine feminine, and I tell you that because I've manifested that. Again, different dynamics, but a similar lesson. Someone who's a counterpart in a way that they really help you evolve. There's a video that I will connect below that you guys all know that I'm a member of the LGBTQIA community, and this is an LGBTQIA poetess, excuse me. I can't recall her name, but she writes a poem that I've loved for like years and years since it first came up. I think it's several years old, but it says, what's the difference between a girlfriend and a wife? I'll link it below. Your DM, your DF, whoever you thought was so magical that just slagged you off completely, BS'd you, gaslit you, and treated you like you were a second-class citizen for trash, that person had a lesson to learn. And that person is on the side of the girlfriend in the poem, meaning someone that doesn't elevate you. For some of you guys, you have masculines that are coming in new assignments, and it will be much easier. And what I want you to pay attention to are the different points of compatibility. Something you did not do with your DM, because a lot of you guys fell into trauma bonds with your DM, like I did, and never vetted them. She was always, my DM shows up in a woman's body, but she was very masculine. But she, and not in her looks or anything like that, I always have to clear that up. But in her behavior, it was very, very masculine. I have a great lesson coming up about the spiritual difference between masculine and feminine and how we think. And yeah, in any case, that person we didn't vet each other. She vetted me. She decided I wasn't good enough. She always felt sorry for me. She said as much as we ended the situation. She said to me, I was just doing a favor. Just being nice to you. 20 years. Now, there was racism and all kinds of shenanigans in my lesson, because that's part of my generational curses to break. But out of her drunk mouth, she told me some real truths. She said some real racial slurs. She did some real things that let me know, oh, homie, we're not going to talk about this ever again. You can hear me talk about it if I get to a TED Talk. Listen to that if you want to when I get there. Amen. Let's speak life over ourselves, DFs. But what I will say to you is a lot of your DMs were like that. Inept, in all ways making you feel inept and projecting their insecurities and their BS on you. And that is not a real relationship. And so you trauma bond and you're always trying to clamor and fix it. And the truth of the matter is they never wanted you to fix it. Narcissists don't want love and they don't want peace. They thrive in chaos and low vibrational drama. And if they don't have it naturally with you, they'll create it. I know it because I watched my malignant narcissist father do it with my mother. She would tell me all the time everything would be peaceful in the house. And then he would literally pick a fight, throw a glass, and start pummeling me. Some of you guys got out of relationships like that, whether it was emotionally or physically. Narcissists don't change their stripes. The 1960 narcissist is the 1980s narcissist to the 2000 narcissist to the 2020 narcissist. If you were with one, understand that there's nothing to salvage, and that in fact what you will find is a place of compatibility where you vet somebody. I want to talk to you about the eagle and how she vets her masculine. As it is above, so it is below. As it is in nature, so it is for us as well. She flies higher and higher and higher, circling, dropping a stick from every thousands of feet she ascends. And she does so because what she wants to know is, if our babies, or if I happen to fall out of this nest, as you know that eagles perch high, can you catch me? You never asked your divine masculine if they could catch you, if they wanted to catch you, if they gave a F about ever really catching you. But you did watch them catch other people, right? You did watch them do things that you taught them that they never could do with you. You have to understand that that was part of your lesson we create from contrast. I know what it is to be loved because I was very thoroughly not shown love in my relationship. And a lot of you guys can relate to that. So when you get to your next mate, and many of you will, for some of you, you're manifesting business and growth or a health regimen. But whatever your next state of nirvana and bliss is, understand specifically if it's for a relationship, you have every right to vet somebody that knows their worth, takes their time to understand, does this person work in my life? We know what we bring to other people's lives when we are invested emotionally. And when we really love somebody, we'll just do it. But I want you to do a couple of things. Make sure you're not reading mixed signals, because sometimes we get tested a little bit before we get to the next real partner. Is someone doing equal give and take with you? Also, are they verbally acknowledging you and agreeing that you guys are on the same path and journey? That was something that I learned that was so powerful in my last situation, that I cannot have a friendship or a dynamic with anybody where we don't both know what we're there doing. I want to be an adult. That's sexy to me. I'm a sapiosexual. I have a video coming up to find out if you are, but that means I'm turned on by communication. And I found my person that I had put on this ridiculous pedestal assembled with popsicle sticks and hope. I found out that they were essentially a 7-year-old. They were stuck in a moment in their life and they were inept and totally incapable of real communication that would ever stimulate me. I taught them how to talk, and many of you taught your partners how to talk as well. And then you find yourself wondering, why did they go to the karmic? Because that was where they were supposed to be. That was the last grade that they graduated energetically. The person that you're going to is professorial and can speak life and wisdom over you, has ideas and suggestions, and is healthy in a masculine dynamic if that's what you're seeking. And the reason I say that, it's really important to understand the reason that these relationships go awry is to teach you how much you must be treasured in your feminine. Your masculine sometimes can be very effeminate in his energy or her energy, and she will gravitate or he will gravitate towards a masculine woman. And at first it's sexy because a masculine woman chases, a masculine woman reveals their body parts at work, as my karmic did. A masculine woman is relentless and wants to go toe to toe. She wanted me to hear her. She was officious, right? Interjected, was domineering. She was cussing out her friends and family long before they ever hooked up. But my person loved it because her feminine was crippled and she wasn't seeking right. She wanted that energy. At first, it's fun, it's delicious, and for a lot of your DMs, it is. But then what it turns into is domineering, stalking, obsessive, all masculine traits. A real mind F if you're trying to figure out my situation. But what I will tell you is understand that even if your masculine is actually a male, right? Then and he is in that body and he chased or he liked a woman chasing him, that woman was in masculine energy. Do you get it? The reason that your next relationship will be so much better is because you will find someone who is your right vibration. You guys will either be equally balanced in your masculine and feminine, both of you having worked out your past familial issues, gone through your heartbreaks and whatnot, so you can be both to each other when it's needed. So whether you're a man to a man still needs to have some feminine energy nurturing, also masculine energy at times. Okay? It means that there's an ability to have an equal give and take. And when you get home, for a lot of us feminine women, we're powerful, we're business owners, we're entrepreneurs, we have multiple plates that we're juggling. It's nice to have someone sometimes make a decision for you while not taking away your power and you not giving away your power. Someone who's masculine or feminine is ill-affected, like your previous partner, can never make you feel at ease because you're having to be out of your norm. You are feminine. The worst I've felt physically in my life is in the last 2 years when I was out of my natural alignment trying to figure out drama that had nothing to do with me. Someone who was so careless they brought gutter snipes to my doorstep. The resentment, y'all. I'm working through it, amen? But what I will tell you is that I have found other energy, other wonderful energies that have matriculated into my life that are balanced. And it means that I have connections where I feel absolutely taken care of, and I actually also feel absolutely empowered to lead. And it's nice. For those of you in romantic relationships, that will be a very sexy feeling for you. For those of you in platonic relationships, it will feel very nurturing to you. Let's go back to the romantic, because that's what a lot of you guys are here for. It's sexy to be with somebody who knows how to be a boss. Your previous DM, whatever you want to call them, was posturing. Premature responsibility breeds superficiality. They started behaving as though they were a king in Africa and that they could take on many things, but they couldn't even take care of their own life and home for many of you, as it was for me. It's an imbalanced emperor. It's an imposter. It's a destroyer of energy because they were not balanced. So they could never alleviate the weight of your femininity. What they did was try to destroy it. Your new partner will acknowledge and carry that weight. Your new partner might say, pack some bags, we're heading somewhere. Your new partner might provide for you the ability to feel both loved and cared for, but also intelligent and ambitious. That's something the other person wasn't capable of doing, and that's why no more, as Daisy says, Skype A. The reason I give so much credit, guys, it's so important, especially in tarot world, tarot land, reading metaphysics here, just honor. It's just like any literature paper, right? Cite your work, right? Honor the people that are creating the energy, give homage, and really be, I get it. That was another thing, guys. Your DM is in competition with you. That was something that I experienced too. And that's someone who's living in essentially bitch made energy. If they were a man, it would be called bitch made. Even if they are a woman, it's still bitch made energy because they're acting like they're this big king or something so important when really they're like, that is essentially feminine energy that they're operating out of. That's why they get with a masculine karmic. Do you get it? So now it's your job to get with a masculine who knows who they are and who's also healed their feminine wounds and issues. Isn't a mama or a daddy's boy, whatever issue they're dealing with. Mama's boy usually is what you'll deal with masculines, people with affected mother issues. But what I will tell you is it means that you will have the opportunity to have someone have your back. You're able to thrive and grow when you don't have to feel on edge worrying what kind of parent or what kind of role you're going to have to play for someone who is emotionally unavailable. Also, the person that comes into your life will be emotionally available. I really want you to understand the beauty you have headed your way. And that's why I wanted to pop on here. So we're almost out of time. Yeah, I wanted to finish that up. You have a partner for you. It is important to learn these lessons so that you do not loop back and spend chunks of your life waiting for somebody that's never going to come around. And even when they do, you wouldn't want them. You guys don't vibrate at the same energy level anymore. My person could never even speak to me again. I wouldn't even, it would be like trying to hear like a dog whistle, ironically enough. I wouldn't even know what she was saying. I don't relate. We are not the same. We mirrored each other for a while. There were games that were played, and maybe in your situation there were games that were played too. But it was checkers and chess, right, Divine Feminine? Checkmate. All right, guys, come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.